What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another Monday evening here on the Football Smack Talk Show. I am your host, Ryan. And Eric apparently doesn't realize he's here either. So we're going to go ahead and start this show off with a bang.
Yeah, gotta love it. My computer right away was just like, yeah, go with your mother. Like, gotta love it.
Well, your computer is aggressive, that's for sure. But we are going to be talking about the NFL draft tonight here after the wonderful weekend that Howie had. So we're going to talk about every pick, all the UDFAs, and any other moves that Howie may have done in the subsequent days since we were last on air. If you were one of the wonderful people that were joining us during our live stream, we did over 10 hours of live streaming the draft on nights 1 and 2, and a smidge in day 3 as we wanted to do a bit of a recap, react. But yeah, thank you guys. We had, I think, over 10,000 live viewers. It was absolutely amazing. Personally, the Dallas Cowboys on draft day. Accurate. Everybody, happy Monday. What up, Daniel? So it was a fantastic draft by Howie once again. I think leaving day 1, we were ecstatic. We got a guy that we all thought we were most likely going to be moving up for. He fell to us. Day 2, we end up getting a guy that was in contention for 22. We trade up, get him as well, and we get the second pick on day 2 is a little confusing for a lot of people. A lot of people hadn't heard of Jalix Hunt, which is rightfully so. He's kind of an unknown during this whole process, but he had a really good combine. He has really good raw athletic ability. And
what was your favorite highlight on Jackson Hunt?
Honestly, from what I saw of him, he just is very bendy. He's really able to kind of get around and use his speed quite a bit. So I'm very excited to kind of see how he can kind of develop, because I think he's very raw, but he's athletic enough that I think he can get himself into the rotation right away. So that's I think more exciting is that I think he has a high ceiling. So Q checks in, and Howie we trust. Go Eagles. Absolutely. So let's start first round. What was your reaction to the first round, Quinyon Mitchell, or even just leading up to the whole thing? How you felt going into as the draft kind of progressed?
Well, much like my computer, how it said to me, F off. If you were a fan of defensive players being picked for the first 15 picks, you were told, yeah, F off. So it was a lot of offense, and I figured, man, like, we're going to have our choice of guys. And I still thought Terrion Arnold and Quinyon Mitchell would both still be gone at 22. Even after the first 15 picks. Yeah. So I was ecstatic that then we were able to get Quinyon Mitchell. And like you said, Cooper DeJean, he was a guy that was in play for 22. And, not only do we go get what a lot of people think was the top corner on the board, if not number 2.
Yeah.
Then we go get another top 5 corner in the second round.
Yeah, and the beauty of obviously Cooper DeJean is his flexibility, his versatility, and whether he'll play safety, corner, slot, he'll just kind of throw him out there and just kind of tell him to go ball. So I think that is the beauty, is our defensive backfield definitely improved vastly this offseason for sure. Dives checks in, says I'm all in for any team that doesn't feature Tobias Harris. Wow.
I was told he was going to try out to be the second tight end for the Eagles, so we'll, keep an eye on that.
Ouch. Well, listen, if that's the case, I'm trying not to, and I'm going to take out his legs. Oh man, that's funny. But yeah, no, you're right. It was a very the fact of the matter is first 15 picks were all offense, which had never happened before.
Yeah.
There was a lot of firsts. There was the most offensive players taken in the first round. It was the most quarterbacks taken in the first round since 1983. As you said, the latest first rounder or an offensive player had been, or a defensive player had been
Right.
selected. So yeah, it was definitely a crazy, crazy, crazy first round, for sure. So
Yeah, and look, it was great, and much to the Eagles' benefit because look, we
yeah,
weren't looking for a quarterback. We weren't. This team, like, it was very obvious. Their message was they had to get better on defense, and they get first two picks or two defensive backs, and then they go get Jackson Hunt in the second round. Or yeah, the was he in the second or the third round? The
Jalix Hunt.
or Jalen Hunt, yeah.
Yeah, it's technically the third round.
Okay. So yeah, they get him in the third, and to me, that's really where like this is all going to come down to is how can you rush the passer? That's going to be like that'll really help both these rookie corners. This team went from being the number one tackles for loss team in 2022 to being dead last in 2023.
Yeah,
So you gotta hope that you see more of the 22 version of that defensive line in 2024.
yeah, exactly. It was definitely Q with a good question here. Did we pick the correct corner at 22? A lot of people were certainly high on Terrion Arnold. A lot of people were high on Quinyon Mitchell. I think, honestly, I think what it came down to it, the way I kind of thought about it, it was, I think either way, I think we're getting a guy. I think both of these guys are going to be great NFL corners, and I was happy either way, honestly.
Yeah, I know I texted you at the time too. I thought maybe it came down to the 40 time and like that initial quick the speed. Quentin Mitchell was he tested in the 4.3s. Terrion Arnold was 4.5, and not that I put a whole lot of stock in that,
And it's not
but
that big of a
you're going to
difference,
be
but
asked to guard CeeDee Lamb twice a year. Yeah.
well, yeah, well, exactly. I mean, you have Scary Terry as well. The Giants just got Malik Neighbors.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, definitely there are yeah, there's some wide receivers in this division, and obviously we were the 28th ranked passing defense, and we wanted to improve in that, and we got back Chauncey Gardner Johnson, and we drafted Cooper Jean, we drafted Quinyon Mitchell. This should three big players that should really, really help out the defensive backfield. And honestly, I think it was a home run after day two. We got a guy that I think a lot of people were so unfamiliar with Hunt, and I get it. I didn't even know that much about him. I obviously had heard about him, but there wasn't a lot out on him, and there wasn't a lot to really look into. But yeah, I think once I was able to kind of more concentrate on it, because again, when I'm looking into a player, it's kind of more of a quicker thing, because again, I'm going after
Sure.
a bunch. But when I'm able to really concentrate and look up, I spent probably 2 hours that night after streaming 5 hours roughly. I just stayed awake and just was looking up highlights and film and anything that I could get my hands on, um, just to kind of get more information on it. So after the initial reaction, I think it was more of, hey, I see who else is on the board right now, and there are some really good names that I'd really like at some positions I'd really like. So I think that was maybe my reaction
Hmm.
initially. It was just kind of like, I was like, I think you could have waited on this kid, but um, again, I trust Howie, as Q said, and Howie we trust. And yeah, listen, he continued to have an amazing, amazing draft, and when you go through it, and after day 3, um, let's see, I'm just trying to look at the official. Um, I want to get the draft numbers right, but now my computer's
Right.
pulling at your computer. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, it's been fun. Last couple of weeks it's been all right. And today,
Isn't that always the way it is, though? It's like
yeah.
everything's working, everything's working, everything's working. The second you need it, not working. Like what?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Who? You son of a. Yeah, why could I not find this? Anyway, yeah. So after Quignon, after Cooper DeJean, I think a lot of people were super happy.
Sure.
But so you go into the 4th round, and I think this was maybe my worst pick for Howie, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Mostly because I had him rated a lot lower than what some other players were, and I think we originally had pick 120. We traded back a couple times. We got to pick 127, and in between that area, a couple of running backs went off the board that I would have really, 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 really liked. But we ended up with Will Shipley, running back from Clemson.
The guy, remember I asked you about a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily a fan, honestly.
Mhm.
There were probably about 5 running backs that I would have, at that point, would have easily, ran up and grabbed, maybe even more. But I do like the fact that he does bring a lot to the return game. Although, I thought our return game was actually pretty decent last year. But I guess, yeah, again, you should always be looking to improve everywhere, no matter what.
Well, sure.
So then in the 5th round, we had a couple of selections, 152, wide receiver from Texas A&M. I'm going to mispronounce this name because I don't believe I mean I've covered him. I don't believe I've ever heard his name said out loud, but Ainias Smith.
Yeah, nice. That sounds right. Yeah.
And then, of course, a few picks later, the pick of the draft for a lot of Eagles fans, something that people are waiting for many, many years. We finally take Jeremiah Trotter Jr., linebacker out of Clemson. I know, obviously, this is something that I was screaming for. I thought he was a 3rd rounder, and was shocked that he fell all the way to the 5th. Obviously, Howie and all of them knew what was going on. So they waited on it properly, and they got their guy. And honestly, I was I was literally in the middle of Giant, and I was checking out. They're doing the self checkout, and I get a slew of text messages from people at EOP and people that obviously I've been spending a lot of time with the draft, and they're like, we did it, we got him, trot baby. And I'm like, stop, like that's not funny, like don't say stuff like that if you don't if it's not right. So I literally probably responded back about 100 times, like, please tell me you're not kidding, please tell me. And then I started looking and blah blah blah, and eventually I was able to confirm what they were saying, and I let out a let's go right in the middle of Giant, like loudly. Like,
that's
honestly,
great.
if I didn't have my son with me, I probably would have let out a let's effing go.
Sure. I'm surprised you still didn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not that that stops me all the time, but yeah, I mean, I'm very excited about this. Now, again, you have to kind of taper expectations. He's not certainly going to come in, and neither did his father. His father didn't come in and light up the world right away. Took him a little while to figure it out, but yeah, I'm just happy to have a linebacker in the fold, and somebody that I think early on was kind of a 1st rounder, and then he's kind of kept slipping, and that's that. Nothing anything for anything for bad reasons. It just that's the way that the draft sometimes goes. Is people move up, people move back, and yeah, he just kept falling, and he was probably about a third rounder in my estimation by the time the draft started. And again, I'm not sure why he was able to last until the mid fifth, but more power to him and more power to us. And Howie, I guess, again, I think Howie was able
Well,
to see
I
the
think
value.
what it is, I love my computer's effing with us right now, but what I think it is, it's just like how do you affect the passing game? And that's where like Trotter, he didn't really like linebackers don't affect the passing game as much as defensive ends and corners do. And I think that's the issue is that, he was that you saw like the guys who affect the passing game, they're going to be the guys that are going to be taken before guys who don't.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly get it. But he certainly has fire in him. He certainly has a nose for the
Hmm.
football and able to get he had 88 total tackles, 15 for loss, 5.5 sacks, a couple interceptions. I think one of them was pick six. Um, and yeah, considering that the linebacker room is Nakobe Dean and Devin White, he should certainly be able to fight for playing time. So that's, I think, the most encouraging thing. So um, Dive says in,
When
I
you get
like
a guy
Terry.
who can fight for playing time in the fifth round, like that's
Sure.
encouraging.
Yeah. Yeah. Dive says, I like Terrion a little more than Mitchell because he's more physical, but one could argue that Mitchell is a better fit for Fangio because Eagles don't play a lot of press. Yeah, that's actually very similar to kind of my thought process on all of this. Is I slightly had Terrion a little higher in my rankings, but yeah, I think when it comes to fit, Mitchell certainly seems to be a more of a fit for Fangio, and I think the Eagles probably had them very closely graded, so that's probably why they went with Mitchell because I think Fangio probably recognized that his style was a little bit more apt for his defensive set. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
and that I'm told he was big on Jalen Hunt and getting him to Philadelphia as well. So
Well,
after
so, yeah.
right, so after Jeremiah Trotter at 155, 172, we grabbed Mahler, guard from Michigan, Trevor Keegan, who normally plays left guard. He was a captain of the championship team, um, and honestly, certainly can fight for that right guard position. Honestly, so he's certainly somebody that I really liked them adding. Next in the sixth, 185, we got Johnny Wilson, the wide receiver from Florida State. A lot of people are saying that might be tight end material. He's certainly a bigger 6'6", 231, big wide receiver. So I see a lot of people kind of making that assumption. I don't necessarily think that that's going to be the case. So we'll see exactly what they end up
Either
doing.
way, it sounds like a good red zone target.
Yeah, certainly. And then looks like our last pick, 190, Dylan McMahon, a guard from North Carolina State. Again, just kind of adding to the depth there. And who knows what what could happen there for that right guard spot. I mean,
Yeah, and you figure between the two picks, if one of them can step up and be a guard, that plays on this team, and the other one, even if you get to put him on the practice squad and stash him there for a little bit,
mm.
you hope that can work out.
Yeah, for sure. So then after the draft was over, we went ahead and grabbed, I believe I have 7 official that I have,
Yeah.
that I've heard. Maryland tackle, Gottlieb Yedzi. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to mess up all of these. Howard, offensive tackle, who this guy is a massive human being. He's like 6'8". It's kind of like very much Jordan Mailata size. And then Dankwa.
I think they did
Baylor,
that just to see if you could pronounce any of their names.
probably. Baylor defensive tackle, Gabe Hall, who I honestly was shocked he did not get drafted. I had him as a 5th rounder. Tennessee tight end, McKellen Castles, which is a great name. Marshall wide receiver, Talik Keaton. LSU safety, Andre Sam, who I really like. And Georgia running back, Kendall Milton. So, yeah, obviously some positions that they certainly felt that they needed to address. Yeah, I think Hall. Yeah, I think I even saw Gabe Hall as maybe even a 4th. So adding that depth is super super awesome. And yeah, obviously we had to grab a Georgia player. So
yeah, I think that's a rule now.
It's a rule now. Yeah, that Dankwa tackle. He's 6'8", 353.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a big boy. So yeah, we'll see if any of them can compete. But if you look at the last couple of years, our UDFAs and a couple of them end up making the roster and end up playing significant minutes because it's injuries or just position of need or whatever have you. So who plays more total snaps 2024, Nakobe Dean or Jeremiah Trotter?
I'd say it's probably pretty close. Like, I'm trying not to overreact in the just being removed from the draft. But you think Dean?
Oh no, you were just like slow motion
Fun.
talking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope it's Dean. And that means Dean is healthy.
Yeah.
And Dean is playing and Dean needs to get his shot. But I hope it's not by much. So that means Trotter's playing a lot.
Sure.
And Dibs comes in. I love to see how the duo of CJ GJ and DeJean look together at safety. As long as Reed Blankenship is sitting on the bench watching and taking notes, I don't care what they do.
And it's funny because one of the comps I heard, and I know you've heard this one too, to Cooper DeJean was Malcolm Jenkins.
I did hear that, which I get. I get it.
I mean, it's all premature. That's just saying he can compare to that type of player. That doesn't say that.
No. Obviously, I'm aware of how player comps work.
Yeah, no. I wasn't explaining that to you. I was trying to explain.
Well, it sure sounded like a jerk.
Sorry. I was just to the people.
And then, so not only do we have a great draft, not only do we get a couple of UDFAs that I think are good value, we also sign a Kai Becton, a swing tackle, used to be with the Jets. I think it was a 20 first round pick.
Yeah.
Dealt with some injuries, switched, right to left or left to right. I honestly, this is a big dude too. Honestly, I think this is such a smart signing to bring in a guy just in case, a guy that that can come in and play either left or right and play minutes if needed. And worst comes to worst is, we sign somewhere else and we get a comp pick. So I think it was a good idea. Toby says, do you think there's potential for Ringo to get time and battle it out with Rodgers? Absolutely. Rodgers is not in anything. He hasn't played for a year, and let's be honest, it's not like we signed, Jalen Ramsey who hasn't played for a year. This is a guy that was still young, still figuring out the game, and still needs a lot of coaching. So I think it's just I think you just look at the value of bringing a guy in like that, not having to do anything. You're getting him, you're paying him, pennies, and he can compete with Ringo, with Quinyon, with Vontae Maddox for kind of CB 2, 3, and 4. So I hope Ringo is able to kind of get himself a foothold and get some time. But yeah, I just like the fact that now what I thought maybe going into the last year was, oh, hey, we have some depth.
Right.
Depth in that instance just meant bodies. Like
Yeah.
that's like we had a shit ton of corners. Um, and that's really kind of what it came down to. But now when you look at it, if you look at the top of it, you have Slay, you have Quinyon, you have Ringo, you have Rogers, you have Avante Maddox, you have Bradbury, who, listen, I get it. We're all sour on Bradbury, but usually is one good year, one off year, one good year, one off year. And obviously he had his bad year. So maybe this is going to be his good year. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
this is a nice bounce back year for him. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the bounce back. So, yeah. So,
And then you get rid of him at the end of this year, and so you don't get the next crap year.
Well, exactly. So that's 6 right there that I just named. And I haven't even said Ricks. I haven't even said some of the other, Zach McPherson. So there's a lot of people on this roster right now at the cornerback position. And I like it. I like the depth. The depth is now talented depth. And, again, I think this is such an important position because there were so many injuries last year. And having quality depth now means that next man up is actually going to be like, yeah, that's cool with me. Like, instead of, dear God, who's this guy? He wasn't drafted. Nobody knows his name. We're throwing him out there.
All right, let's go.
Exactly. Like,
you have a uniform, kid. Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm very, very happy with how he did. And I did say coming into this season, I really wanted Ed Reed Blankenship to become the 3rd safety, and he is now. Now, obviously, Cooper DeJean has to kind of, officially beat him out. And you also have Sidney Brown, who's injured, who's going to be hopefully not missing too much time in the beginning of the year. I like his potential as well. So I think our safety room is starting to look a hell of a lot better. You look at what we had linebackers. We signed, Trash Heap to try and plug some holes. This time we actually went out and got Devin White, who, whether or not you like him or not, is better than what we've had. You go ahead, you hopefully have a healthy Nakobe Dean, and then you draft Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And, you can probably, and again, if Vic Fangio is going to be running kind of a 3-4-ish, that Nolan Smith might be more of a linebacker edge type. So that could be theoretically your 4 there. Not a lot of depth outside of that, but I just kind of like where this defense is headed. It's headed in the right direction. We're not just putting band-aids on things. We are actually addressing positions and upgrading what we needed to upgrade. So Barry checks in. What up, Barry? Per PFF, Rogers was the 5th best graded cornerback the past season when he actually played, with a plus 82.1 overall grade, featuring a 81.5 coverage grade. Specifically, Roger was targeted 25 times for 17 receptions at 68%. Yeah, I'm sorry if that meant, I didn't mean for it to seem like I didn't think Rogers was all that, but he's still a young player. He's still figuring himself out. He's had one, good season. And again, I
remember when he had to go away, he had to completely go away. He wasn't allowed on the team facility at all during his year away.
Listen, I get it. And 99 times out of 100, shouldn't be a problem. Right?
Sure. It shouldn't be. and you just hope it's not.
And Barry is very correct. He is also a fast motherfucker. He did run 4.8. So listen, I get it. There's a lot to love. And I'm not necessarily just, I think a lot of Eagles fans are just immediately putting him in to, I think a lot of people were putting him in a CB2, but I think he's more of a slot guy. But, I'm not necessarily immediately going to do that. I need to see that. But that being said, you have a lot of talent in the cornerback room now. And again, I just named 5 dudes without naming James Trashberry. That sounds pretty darn good to me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. And the fact of the matter is Bradbury was your number two, like without a doubt. And he fell off a cliff, and
Yeah, he did.
then he got up and then fell off another cliff. It was that bad.
Yeah, he nosedived a couple cliffs.
Yeah. So I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy. Now again, I think we took, obviously on our defensive line, I think our defensive line took a little bit of a hit this season. They're
Mhm.
this, from year to year. Obviously losing Fletcher Cox, losing Hassan Reddick. That's hard to replace.
Sure.
Plain and simple, hard to replace. But you hope that a year more of Jalen Carter, you hope an in shape and another year of Jordan Davis, you hope another year of Nolan Smith and actually getting him out onto the field. You brought in Bryce Huff, who can hopefully mitigate some of that. You brought in a third rounder and Jalix Hunt, who, again, you're hoping can play a little bit more than Nolan Smith did. So, again, I get it. It's definitely a step back, but I think it's a lot less than what I think Eagles fans might be thinking the step back might be. And again, it's very dependent on the youth. So that's never great, but Rogers is also a phenomenal kick returner. So apparently, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm pretty sure Barry is Isaiah Rogers' agent. It's the only
That's the only logical
only
explanation.
logical
I
explanation.
mean, news 40 time off the top of his head.
Oh God,
I'm just picturing Barry just sitting there and just having all the information in his head, just being like, he ran a 4.2. Yeah.
What was his 3 cone? That's what I really want to know coming out. No, obviously just joking, but not a fan, just fact. No, I know.
No, we get it.
And listen, I hope he is everything that Eagles fans are thinking he's going to be. That would be fantastic. Are you kidding me? I would love for there to be a problem at corner because we have too many talented corners. You know what I mean?
Look,
That's a great problem to have.
And again, like all this, like unless we can get home on the pass rush, a lot of this isn't gonna matter. Because the quarterback can just sit back there and pick us apart. Like the greatest
I did just say our pass rush just got worse, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. What up, Pat? What's going on, buddy? Yeah, so I just think with all of the additions, the depth that they got on the offensive line,
Mhm.
I really do like. I think we, again, hoping that there's not going to be, injuries, but I think should there be, I think we got adequate backups for most positions along the line with, vets and other youth that, hey, you get them into Stoutland U and you never know what can happen, right? So, very all of a sudden the corner room got young and very fast. A lot of talent at that room. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have your steps for next year to move on from Bradbury and Slay.
Yeah, and most likely you are moving on from both of them at the end of the season. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think that's most important is it's, and I know how he loves doing that. I know how he loves to look the next thing, down the road, but
Sure.
it's a lot easier when you can play multiple people at a position to try and get that. Like getting a tackle would have been horrendous because that guy sits,
For like 3 years. Yeah.
for 2-3 years. Whereas you get a young corner, even if you have a stacked cornerback room, you can at least get him out there a bit.
Yeah.
You're not
What would we be doing drafting a guy to sit him for 3 years? I mean, what are we, the Atlanta Falcons?
Oh.
Hey, let's give $100 million to a quarterback, and then like not 60 days later, let's draft his replacement.
Hey guys, real quick, got to mention the brand new trending in the AM show here on the Edge of Philly Sports. We started last week. Week 2 going on strong here. Phil is a great dude. I've had the pleasure of being on a couple of shows with him over months and years. So he basically just talks about the what's trending. Honestly, the trending topics of the day, and it doesn't matter. He has no agenda. He kind of allows the folks to kind of in the chat to kind of guide the talk. It's a really fun morning show, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock to 9:30. Yeah, you have to check it out. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, Phil's a good dude. And yeah, we're super happy to get him at Edge of Philly Sports. So please check out that new show, which is not really a new show. It's just new to the network.
Yeah.
But anyway, Eric, what would you say overall would you grade Howie's official draft from this past weekend?
Well, if you asked me Thursday night, I'd have probably given it an A+.
Okay.
So I love the Quinyon Mitchell pick.
What are you giving it? What are you giving it after Friday night?
Friday, yeah, probably still an A.
Still an A or A+?
Well,
an A?
Yeah, and it goes from an A+ down to an A. Look, Jalix Hunt, I just didn't know a lot about him.
I get it. He's an unknown and unknown is scary. I get it. Okay, so A+ to an A, and then
I'd say B+. Look, again, like part of that was I was hoping that we'd address more of the pass rush, but again, B+. I didn't see a whole lot of B+ going to school in my day, so I'd have signed up for a B+ any day of the week.
Oh, Eric. I feel like the old hammer around it, smack you in the back of the head. Don't worry, I'll do that.
Yeah, he'd do that anyway, like regardless of whether or not he agreed with me.
Yeah.
I famously once broke his hand with my head.
Well, listen, you are hard-headed, so
yeah.
I honestly overall I think I'd give it an A. I feel like yes, I probably again I think because I was more involved this year in a lot of these prospects, I kind of felt a certain way about certain prospects and wanted the Eagles to address certain positions. Like I would have loved for them to grab a tight end and not just a UDFA. I would have certainly loved for them to grab a guard early. Somebody that could really compete. Obviously, I really would have loved them to grab Edgerrin Cooper, but again, they traded up for DeJean and thought DeJean was more important, and I get that. So yeah, listen, I think initially the Jalix Hunt pick looked a little strange, mostly because nobody really knew it. But I think overall, I'd still give it an A. I think he addressed a lot of needs. He got a lot of great value on both, especially his first two picks. So yeah, I can't hate him on that. Michael, the second day of draft confused me. The second day, so the Jalix Hunt pick, I assume is what you're talking. He gave him a B+ for Howie. Yeah, listen, I got it. He was a guy that, I think I looked into over 200 prospects, and he wasn't really a guy that I spent much time on. It was more of a, hey, I know this guy. I don't necessarily didn't think he was a third round selection. But again, values change throughout, every second of every day in the draft process. So, yeah, listen, it's not something I would have gotten, excited about at the moment. I certainly had about 5 other players that I really, really, really wanted. Our boy, JT Sanders, one of them.
Yeah, I wanted him.
I wanted him too. Palatero says Howie deserves flowers. Absolutely. He had a great weekend.
Look, we can just make this the annual, the Monday after the draft can just be the Howie Flowers show. Give Howie's flowers that Monday after the draft every year.
You're buying flowers.
Son of a bitch.
And you can't give them to your wife afterwards.
What?
They got to be just for Howie. You can't secondhand give flowers to your wife after giving them to Howie.
Yeah,
Rude to Howie.
I
That
guess
is rude
that
to the wife.
I was gonna say, I feel like that would get me more hot water with the wife than
Yeah,
with Howie. I don't think
because
Howie would give a shit.
Howie probably won't give a shit, but I will make sure that I tell her who you originally bought those flowers for.
All right, note to self: got to keep you away from the wife for about 6 months after that.
Nope. I want to see her beating you with those flowers. Like old timey, like,
Yeah.
oh God, I would literally pay money to see that. 76, blah, 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 blah. We don't care about Sixers here. Sixers suck, as far as we're concerned. When is the next game?
Yeah.
Anyway? Is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow night, I think.
I was hoping not. I wanted
Yeah,
to go out and have a few drinks and watch them lose and say goodbye to Tobias Harris.
Well, I mean, if they extend the series to Game 6, that would be Thursday night, and I know that's a bowling night for you, right?
No, actually, it's not. We're in between seasons. No.
Oh, okay.
You're still good for Friday, right?
Yeah. I'm definitely good for Friday. Yeah. No, I'm definitely good for Friday. I'm in.
Right. I got to check to see if they're doing any like tailgate whatever.
Okay.
I don't know if they are, but we'll see.
Yeah, because I was like, if they are, I mean, my plan was to just drive down right after work, so I could get like 3.
I'm off Friday, so
nice.
Yeah. Anyway, but
I guess we'll discuss the weekend plans later.
Yeah, maybe when we're not on air. I love how we just always.
I know we riff into these it's like we're just talking. It's just me and you.
Hey, listen. This is how this show. Granted, the original show, the Philly Mick and Hump show.
Oh,
Philly Mick, Hump.
The Hump.
The Hump. That was the original name of this show. It eventually turned to Football Smack Talk Show. But that was 15 years ago. About a month ago would have been. So we were 15 years ago in a month. So yeah, this is basically all we've been doing ever since. It's just this is how it got started. We decided,
the idea was let's take our phone conversation.
We literally call each other every night, every other night, and back then it was a daily show.
Yeah.
We did way too many shows back then.
Yeah, we really did. We burned through quite a few shows.
We burned through it.
Yeah.
So stupid of us.
Yeah, but back then we were talking about all 4 sports.
Also very true. Yeah, we did want to just focus more because again, 75% of our talks was Eagles anyway. So
yeah, that's the thing. It would be baseball.
That was in the off season.
Yeah, it would be baseball season. It'd be like June, and like before we know it, it was just hey, let's run down the Eagles schedule. Let's talk about that for the 400th time.
Do we have an official day of when the release for the schedule is?
I know it's usually like. Yeah, right? So I want to say not this week, but probably next week. I would assume. Maybe the following week.
The NFL Network usually do some.
Yeah.
But
they get like 3 days notice, and it's like, oh yeah, in 3 days we're doing the schedule release. I'm like, how is this not just a day that we do this every year? And this
right, and make it a holiday.
Right.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can find. NFL schedule release to be announced. Okay, wait. So the 2023 NFL schedule was released on Thursday, May 11th, while the 2022 schedule release was Thursday, May 12th. So that means either May 9th or May 16th appears to be the most likely targets this year.
Right. Okay. I would think, yeah. That was kind of the point of what I was saying. Yeah. So I would think
right. No, okay.
Okay. Just like anybody who heard what I was saying would know that's what I was.
Barry checks back in. Isn't it funny that every year right guard is a position we're looking to fill, from Evan Mathis to Todd Hermans to Brandon Brooks to Nate Herbig to Isaac Seumalo to Cam Jurgens.
Yeah.
I mean,
That seems to be the transition point where the Eagles are just like, shit, I don't know. What position are we going to
so what
figure
you're
out
saying,
right guard?
right guard is the the redheaded stepchild of the offensive line for the Eagles.
It's the linebacker of the Eagles.
Oh, damn. That hurt even more.
I was gonna say, and since you're actually redhead, like I would think that one would hurt more.
Still not a stepchild, but yeah, that dang, that hurt. That hurt.
Yeah.
All right, well, there we go. Then so maybe this Thursday, a week from Thursday.
Yeah, hopefully.
So at most it should be 2 weeks from Thursday. That's not bad. I'll take that. And then we can plan Baltimore or New Orleans away trips. I don't know if you've heard the rumbling of what the potential plans could be for Baltimore.
Oh yeah, the idea of going, like, if it's in September, hitting an Orioles game and staying over and
doing the whole weekend.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm with you. Dude, let's go down Friday.
Yeah, go down to the game, chill in the harbor, go to Fells Point, watch the birds, like do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Party with Philly Sports Trips. And speaking of,
we'll go over to Pickles. It's across the street from Camden Yards. It's a phenomenal little freaking hole in the wall sports bar across the street from Camden Yards. It is phenomenal.
So speaking of Philly sports trips,
if you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. If you want to travel with the pros, then go to phillysportstrips.com. Philly Sports Trips features premium travel and tailgating experiences for the best fans ever, the Philadelphia sports fan. Philly Sports Trips has self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights for Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and even the Union. They even offer day trips for more local games. Go to phillysportstrips.com, sign up immediately, and tell them EOP sent you. Do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2024 season, including the Brazil trip week 1. Jump on it now before you lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com and don't miss the next great Philly sports moment.
There you go. What a segue. But yeah, that would be amazing if that was to sync up.
I'm with
you. I think if that happens, Baltimore is definitely the choice.
Yes.
Because Philly Sports Trips. I mean, again, it's relatively cheap. You're taking a nice bus down. You're drinking on the way down. You're having a good time, like the whole 9 yards. Now, granted, I think in this situation we might just buy the tailgate ticket and just do
because we'd go down for the weekend and then go to hit the tailgate on Sunday with everybody.
Yeah.
I want those freaking prime rib sandwiches again. Oh, still dreaming about those.
Of course, food is where you go. I love it.
Of course. Let's get to me about the end of the show. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, well, that is very true. So, but yes, listen, guys, I want to thank everybody for chiming in. Again, a special shout out to everybody who joined us for the live draft watch parties. That was something I'll never forget. That was so awesome. 10,000 concurrent live viewers, like throughout the 2 days. So super awesome. Couldn't thank everybody enough. And yeah, I think we killed it. So hopefully next year we'll be doing it live at the draft. That would be pretty cool. Not gonna lie, but
you're going to Green Bay next year for the draft?
I mean, I'd like to.
Green Bay is actually a low-key really fun town. I went there in 2007. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would definitely relish that. But anyway, listen, just make sure you guys are following, you're liking, you're subscribing to Edge of Philly Sports, whether it be Facebook, on X, on YouTube. Please put on those automatic notifications so that every single time that we go live, you are right there with us. Later tonight, I will be on Party on Broad at 9 o'clock. Then tomorrow 8 o'clock, Birds of the Round Table, where all four of us will be breaking down the draft again. Eric, you are going to be on the Philly Sports Alliance exclusively for the next episode of Turning Heel with you and Mike. And then I think that's it for either one of us. But other than that, please make sure you check out the rest of the show and shows. And don't forget, every morning, 8 o'clock, Trending in the AM with Phil Stifle. Please do check it out. But that's it for us. We're going to head on out. Thank you, everybody, for commenting, joining with us. Please make sure you give us a follow, a like, comment. You can certainly follow us right here on X if you already are not. So, Eric, anything to add before we get on out of here and get to dinner?
No.
Gotta love it. All right, folks. Thank you so much. We will see you guys next week for another episode of the Football Smack Talk Show. So, that's it for the Football Smack Talk Show. I am Ryan.
I'm Eric. Happy football, everybody. Only 129 days to go.
That's light work.
Yeah,
light
we
work,
got this. No problem.
No problem. So, all right, everybody, have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Later.